In this lecture, we'll add different post-processing effects to our different cameras using layers. There are a lot of different ways inside of Unity to kind of handle what interacts with what inside of our scene. One of, if not the most common way to handle that, is with layers. Layers are a tool that allows you to separate game objects in your scenes and how they interact with one another. Some of the most common use cases for layers are things like collision. For example, in our game, we might want to have something like enemy and friendly fire. If we have friendly enemy spaceships and they both are using things like on-particle collision enter, well, you don't necessarily want that to interact with one another unless an enemy ship is getting hit by a friendly ship, for example. While we're not going to talk about raycasting specifically in this section, in a later section, we will. But for now, just think of it like a laser shooting from point A to point B, and you can detect what collides with that laser. You can use what's referred to as a layer mask to make sure that your ray is only interacting with what you want it to interact with. Another extremely common use case is camera culling. If you have different cameras in your scene, you can make sure that only certain game objects appear on a specific camera, culling out basically what it doesn't want to see. Now, in our case, in our scene, we don't actually care too much about what each individual camera can see. We've already set that up in a way so that our fleet command is outside of our normal main camera's view. That part doesn't necessarily really matter too much, but we do want our cameras to have slightly different post-processing effects. Let's do that by creating a secondary global volume in our scene. Let's create an empty game object to hold both of those volumes. We'll just call this empty game object in our scene volumes. And while it's not necessary, when I remember, I do often forget, I'm going to go ahead and reset that transform to 0, 0, 0. I'll drag this volumes empty game object near the top of my screen, and we'll drag my global volume inside as a child of this volumes parent game object. Inside here, let's create another empty game object that we can call portrait volume. And we want to add this same component volume on our portrait volume. So let's go ahead and do that and add a volume game object. Instead of selecting an already created volume profile, let's create a new one from scratch. Oh, and look at that. It's smart enough that as soon as I click the new button, it's gone ahead and created for us a portrait volume profile. Let's see where that's saved. So that actually saved directly on our scene's main level. That seems like a reasonable place to keep it, but I actually kind of like keeping it in my settings folder. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this main level folder inside of my settings folder inside of my assets. Let's go ahead and open that up. Inside here, we also have our global volume that we're using in our entire scene. If you click your global volume in your inspector and then click this volume profile, you can actually see that being used here. One of the key differences between the volume profile that already exists and the one we just created is one is being used by default for the rendering asset that we're actually using in our project. If you recall, going into your edit project settings, we're actually using this PC_RP asset as our rendering asset for this entire project. Well, if you actually scroll down on this asset all the way into the inspector, you can actually see in this volume section, we have our volume profile, sample scene profile, as the default profile for this entire project. That means that every other volume profile in this scene, including the portrait volume one that we just created, is going to by default inherit all of the other overrides that are already on this sample scene profile attached to our global volume. Go ahead and click your portrait volume, and in the inspector in the very top right, go ahead and click this layer dropdown. Let's click add layer, and on our user layer 6, let's add another layer called portrait. With your portrait volume selected, you'll have to actually click that layer and assign that specific layer to that specific game object. The first time around, we just created the layer. We didn't necessarily assign it. The portrait volume is now assigned to the portrait layer. The global volume game object was and still is assigned to the default layer. You can actually go down to your specific portrait cameras under Lieutenant Nepitz and General Kier. I'm going to actually select both portrait cameras at the same time, scroll all the way down on your inspector. In your camera component, in the environment property, you actually have this volume mask dropdown. You can now change this volume mask dropdown to portrait and then unselect default. That way this camera will only use the portrait volume. Now that's a little bit tricky to understand because you can see that it actually didn't change anything in this portrait camera. Well, that's because our portrait volume is also inheriting from our global volume, so it still has all those overrides attached to it. However, now we can actually add a new override to this portrait volume. For example, I think it would make a lot of sense if we actually added a film grain sort of post-processing effect to kind of fit with that sort of radio crackly theme. With this film grain override created, we can actually just turn on the type, ramp our intensity all the way up, and you can actually just barely see it happening here. I'm going to change it to something like medium 5 to make sure it's just a little bit more noticeable on my recording. You can even change the response to something like 0.2 or so. And there you go. You can actually see our portrait camera has this post-processing effect of film grain, but our main camera does not. If you want to override an effect that's already on our other volume profile, you can then just also add that as well. For example, our global volume has this color adjustments override. Well, if you actually add that same override to your portrait volume and then just actually start to change some settings, it will override the settings coming from the profile that we're inheriting from. So perhaps just to make our portrait camera stand out a little bit, you could potentially do something like decrease the saturation a little bit, decrease the contrast a little bit, and now it kind of looks like it's coming in from a distant radio in space or something along those lines. I'm kind of curious what it would look like if I also added a really strong vignette, just out of curiosity. Yeah, not too bad. I think that looks pretty good for now. Which will introduce you to this lecture's challenge. Now that we have both post-processing volumes set up correctly and being displayed on your portrait cameras, take some time to add some different effects to your two global volumes so your portrait cameras have slightly different effects compared to your main camera. And don't forget to share your cool effects with the community on our forums. It's been a while since we've actually had an update, but now that we're kind of wrapping up the post-processing part of this section, I'd love to see the cool effects that you came up with. Pause the video now, tinker around with some cool effects, and I'll see you back here in a few moments. All right, welcome back. I'm pretty satisfied with how mine looks for now, and the difference between what we have now and where we were at just a few lectures ago before we started tinkering around with our graphics and post-processing is really quite night and day. I can't wait to see what you come up with. When you're ready to move on with the next lecture, I'll see you there.